So Chris, audience signal, but then that leads to the question is what makes up the audience?
Yeah.
What are some things you can feed the Performance Max campaign that says, get me in front of these people, and these are the kind of people that I want you to learn from and find other people?
Yeah. So Google allows 4 different areas of building an audience. And Jason, it can go very, very deep, and you can have more than one of these. So an audience that you build in Performance Max is not, going to be just A, B, C. It might be A4-12 and CX-16. I mean, you can have all these different you can build lots of standard ones, then you can have some really complex ones, and they're referred to as assets. You can build these assets that determine different asset groups. Okay, so it gets deeper and deeper. We're not going to go that deep, but basically,
not today.
When you choose an audience, you can choose based on 4 things. You can choose with how they interacted with your business. You can choose your own custom audience segments, which is a little deeper because that goes into not necessarily how they reacted with your website, but what they're doing on the internet, what things they're looking at, what they search for, things like that. Then we get into something more personal, demographics, age, gender, stuff like that. And then we get into additional audience segments. And this is, a lot of people don't even know this exists, but it gets into detailed demographics about long-term life facts about the person, life events, so what they're interested in, what they're ready to buy.
AKA the kind of targeting that's traditionally used on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes from, hey, they've been to your website, all the way down to they're ready to get married and they're ready to pick a venue. I mean, there's some crazy stuff here.
Now, Chris, display campaigns, I obviously run search, remarketing, I've run a ton of. I have not delved that deeply into pure display, as we call it, over the years, just because the budget was best used on remarketing and search. Now this is taking some of the factors from display. Now, one of the things I always struggled with was overlapping different stuff like interactive with your business, your remarketing list, and demographics and audience segments. In the old interface, it was a little confusing on when you set up a display campaign. Like, am I targeting both of these, or am I targeting when they're they both have to be in there to call someone? I'm not sure yet because I'm still getting used to the interface with Performance Max. But my understanding is that if you put in a remarketing audience and then you put in a detailed demographic, you're not running Performance Max to only people on your remarketing audience who are also in the market for whatever. You're training the machine to say, hey, I want to target people that are like my remarketing list, but I also want to target people that are in the market for this. And I also want to target people that are this demo. And I also want to target people that have searched these kind of keywords recently. And Google, you're going to target people who search those keywords. You're going to target people who are in that market, but you're also going to take this blend that I'm giving you to then find the right people and other people. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think you're making a good point here, because when you build a display campaign, you can choose, I want to target this person,
which I'm not sure if I'll ever do again with Performance Max here now.
No.
Other than remarketing.
Yeah, but so you can
it said to complement search, buddy. It didn't say to complement a pure display.
It takes over display. Yeah, that's true. When you build a display campaign, you can choose to say, I want audience A to be only people who have interacted with my website. Then I can have audience B that are people that are interested in sporting goods in general. And then audience C might be people who have who are literally searching for compound bows, to buy for hunting season, something like that. So you can have
keyword-based display, I group.
Yeah, keyword-based display. So you can have these different levels. In a Performance Max, you can throw all 3 of those into one asset, and it just takes and runs with it. And remember, that's its starting point.
Yeah.
That's not where it ends up. That's the starting point.
Now, this leads to, how much control do you have? I really think the control is and the skill that comes with Performance Max, and how you were saying at the beginning of the show, people are still people, and a lot of people are still going to mess this up. Yeah. What you can control is what inputs you put into the machine. You got to separate yourself from thinking you can control the machine or thinking you're going to understand what the machine is doing, and focus on the only thing that you can control, which is what you feed the machine. And that's where you can kind of play around with things. So you might have a asset group or whatever an ad group like thing is called inside of Performance Max. You might have one where you experiment with feeding the machine a customer list, a list of people who are subscribed to you by email, along with a list of keywords you like, and see how that performs. You might try everything you can throw at it and see if that does better. I think the one thing I would say, Chris, my approach to Performance Max so far is to be thoughtful in the way I'm training the system and not throwing too much at it in terms of different themes or different types of audiences. But when I've narrowed down a theme or audience, giving it as many tools to work with as possible. So as long as I'm comfortable with these different audience signals are on point with the theme I'm trying to train it on, I'll give it as much as I can, as much interactive with my business remarketing emails as I can, as much audience segment stuff like keywords and search terms, as much demographics as I want, and then as much additional audience segments, the life events and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense in terms of being thoughtful about the theme you're training the machine on, and then feeding it as much that matches that theme? Do you like that?
Yeah, I agree.